It did not take Lucasfilm very long to start contradicting their own series with Ahsoka. We are just 3 episodes in, and they're already ignoring the previous episodes in episode 3 in order for them to, quote unquote, create danger for Ahsoka, Sabine Wren, and this robot Hugh Wang in episode 3. Not only are they ignoring previous episodes, but this episode features one of the dumbest space battles imaginable. Whoever came up with this should be immediately fired, but we know that won't happen. They'll probably get promoted at Lucasfilm because that's how people that's what happens. You fail and you get promoted over there at the Walt Disney Company. So let's get into this here. I'm going to kind of do a brief breakdown, I guess, of the episode. It's really short, so it shouldn't take too long. So there's a brief training sequence involving Sabine Wren and Ahsoka Tano. The episode transitions to Hera Syndulla meeting with Chancellor Mon Mothma and a number of senators from the New Republic. The point of the meeting is for Syndulla to request a military intervention into the Denab system, where it was revealed in the second episode. That's where Morgan Elsbeth had been transporting various goods from Corellia. So basically, she was running this operation on Corellia when the Empire was in control. She was still able to manage the operation there, and was working on creating this giant hyperspace ring in the Denab system, so they could go and find Thrawn, who is apparently in some other galaxy, and they want to follow like a hyperspace lane to get there. And so she's been basically siphoning off parts from this shipyard in Corellia to build her giant hyperspace ring. When Syndulla is asked to give her report basically to this meeting of these senators and this chancellor, she does not provide any information from the events of the previous episode. So she does not inform the senators about a Super Star Destroyer hyperdrive being taken from the docks of Corellia. She does not report that Ahsoka Tano is confronted by 2 lightsaber-wielding Force users. For all intents and purposes, we can call them Dark Jedi, because I don't think they're really Sith yet. Unclear what they practice or who they really are, but they seem to be Dark Jedi. And then that literally stopped her from trying to prevent the hyperdrive being taken off planet. On top of this, she does not report Morgan Elsbeth's connections with Corellia and how she had been using her previous Imperial company to transport numerous high-end pieces of equipment off the planet. She also doesn't reveal to them that she had a tracker put on the transport that takes them to the Denab system where all of this is going. So she doesn't actually share any of the dots, and she doesn't connect them in the meeting whatsoever. It's absolutely insufferable. It's like you have all of these things that you should be reporting that would be like, okay, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Let's send this task force because, hey, there is clearly some kind of Imperial remnant doing something out here. We want to crush it before it can grow and become bigger and cause havoc in that part of the system and maybe launch attacks from other parts of the system. But no, they have to have Ahsoka and Sabine going out by themselves, and that's the whole reason why this gets denied. Not only do they have that reason for getting denied, but you also have the victimization points here too, because instead of Hera actually giving out like boom, 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 here's why this should happen, like let's go, let's get it done, this seems like a no-brainer. Instead, it turns into some emotional manipulation thing where she's basically accused of being this emotional woman who only wants to appropriate New Republic funds in order to locate her lost friend Ezra Bridger. The main senator accusing her of this is a guy named Ziono, and I definitely think he is a Donald Trump stand-in. They make it specifically clear that he wants to take New Republic goods and make it used for the people of the New Republic. And then he's also it's also revealed that he didn't actually serve during the war between the Empire and the Republic, and he just came out, and that's clearly, I think, trying to reference Donald Trump's Vietnam, like not getting drafted for Vietnam, et cetera, that they like to show. So I definitely think there's that in there too. And then the whole idea they're trying to like show that she's an emotional woman getting kind of put down by this male senator, et cetera. It's all just from the standard playbook of feminism, of that narrative, like, oh, the woman is always getting put down by the man, et cetera, et cetera. Ironically, the chancellor is literally a woman, and she doesn't actually intervene or approve of it. She seems to get overridden too. So how much power does she really have as the chancellor, I guess, is probably what they have to say. But As I said, given Hera does not provide any details to connect Elspeth to Thrawn and a potential threat in the Denab system, the Senators eventually deny her the task force. It's obvious this is purely done to try and create a sense of danger for Ahsoka and Sabine as they are now forced to investigate by themselves. And then I also think you have that kind of that meta narrative, I guess, of feminism as well. Unfortunately, the sense of danger is then completely undermined by the show's writer, Dave Filoni, once again. So this is like the whole space battle is absolutely stupid. I know a lot of people are going to point to like the whole cartwheeling Ahsoka thing on the wing. Obviously, that is the most egregious thing. But I think the entire space battle is just absolutely stupid. So after they arrive in the Denab system, they're in like hyperspace still, going through, and like their comms get jammed, right? Their comms are getting jammed as they're approaching the Denab system in hyperspace. So they decide to drop out. And then it's like, okay, well, our comms are being jammed. Don't you think that, oh, well, if our comms are being jammed, then there's probably an enemy out here that knows that we're going to come in. You get some absolute garbage dialogue about like, oh, this is the typical Jedi procedures that we have to do. We start off away because we don't know what it is, so we can like sneak in or whatever and go unnoticed. Well, your comms are already jammed. They clearly probably have something out there that can detect when they're jamming someone's comms and you're on their radar systems or whatever. So it made absolutely no sense. Terrible dialogue. But then, of course, like they do indeed show up. So you have these 6 fighters. 2 of them are Shin Hati and Marok, obviously going to be kind of like main characters. The rest look to be like they're like Star Trek red shirts, and indeed that's how they're treated because you have them attack and they make full runs, making direct contact with Ahsoka's ship. Like you can see the laser blasts hitting the ship. It does no damage. Ahsoka and Sabine seemingly are unfazed. There's like no panic. There's no urgency. There probably shouldn't be panic, but there should be at least some urgency. Hey, these people are attacking us. Let's get it done. Let's stop it. Instead, you have like cringe dialogue from Sabine telling Ahsoka, keep it steady. It's like you have 6 fighters attacking you. You need to be taking evasive maneuvers. You aren't going to be keeping it steady. It's just utterly absurd and stupid. And then it like turns into kind of like a training sequence and stuff like that, an homage to obviously the original Star Wars where Luke blasts the TIE fighters out of the air. It takes Sabine a while to figure it out. She struggles with it. And then eventually she does, able to blast 3 of them out of the air. And then they finally get close to the hyperspace ring. They get close to their destination. So they've constantly been moving towards the planet, I guess, of Denab, or whatever planet it is. They've been moving close to where they think that the tracker is for that supply ship. Anyways, they get there, they see the hyperspace ring, they get closer. Morgan Elsbeth is on board the ring. She powers up the station's turbo lasers and begins firing at the ship. While we saw none of the attacks from Shin Hati or any of those starfighters did any damage, the turbo lasers do indeed seem to be doing damage, although you kind of really can't tell when you're watching the episode. It looks like just a bunch of clouds hitting outside of the ship. It doesn't, like, the ship doesn't have any damage on it. The explanation is that it's just hitting the shields or anything or something like that. And the shields go to like 10%. And by the time the ship gets underneath the ring, it loses power. The station, the hyperspace ring, loses them on radar. So then Shin Hati and Marok and the other red shirt starfighter pilot are like, okay, we're going to go in. And it's like, well, they didn't do anything in the first place. What are they going to do now? But they actually do make direct hits on Ahsoka's depowered ship, but there's 0 damage done whatsoever. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, there's absolutely 0 damage done. Like, you can see the blasters hitting the ship. There's like sparks that fly up off of it, but then after the sparks fly up, the ship is back to normal. It has taken no damage whatsoever. And then on top of this, you have Ahsoka with the bright idea, like, I'm going to go put on a spacesuit, some space jammies, go out, stand on the wing of my ship, and hope people are going to shoot me. So, and they do. Like, they turn the villains into a joke. Like, the villains would not be like, okay, I'm going to go shoot this Jedi who's on the wing. It's like, no, I'm going to shoot the ship and blow it up. The explosion will probably kill her. If it doesn't, I'll do another pass and gun her down in space where she's disarmed, she's there, she's a sitting duck, and bam, she's dead. We win, easy peasy, right? Dust your hands off and move on and go get Thrawn. But nope, instead they actually shoot at Ahsoka. It's so stupid. They shoot at Ahsoka, she's deflecting these giant ship blasts with her lightsabers when they aren't hitting the ship. She then the spaceships are then the starfighters are actually like doing passes like it's World War II dogfight. Top Gun dogfight, like they're not in space and they can't just hover there and stand there at a sitting target and just like unload. I mean, you clearly know that these ships can just stand there in space. They don't always have to be flying around. We see that when they lift off. You see the X-wings, you see all this stuff. They can sit there and hover. They don't have to be moving forward constantly. They're very similar to like a helicopter, right? You can stand there. So, but for whatever reason, they have to like make these passes, and one of them gets too close, and Ahsoka decides to chop it off and make a big spectacle of it. And it's absolutely absurd and stupid. Eventually, Sabine is able to get the ship restarted. They get back in and they fly, and they go to the planet. They fly through a bunch of space whales or star whales or whatever, Purrgil. It's just absolutely dumb. It's one of the dumbest things I think I've ever seen in Star Wars. It never should have been put on paper. And if it was put on paper, there should have been someone there saying, yeah, this is stupid. Why are we doing this? This doesn't make any sense. Ask some basic questions and you would realize just how absurdly dumb it was, and it would never have made it to the finished product. So the episode was absolutely terrible for the most part. Nothing else really happens. They escape Shin Hati and Marok. They go and land in a forest of trees, put their ship down, and Shin Hati and Marok fly around, can't find them, think that they're in the forest, and it's like, okay, let's go land and we'll go hunt them down on foot. Then you get like a clip of Baylan Skoll saying like, they're in the forest, go get them. And he sends like some more red shirts that are going to get killed off by Ahsoka and Sabine to go get them. I mean, they're literally wearing masks, so you can't even tell if they're like an alien species. You can't it sounds like they're an alien species, I guess, because they talk. Who knows? It could be a robot language. I have no idea. We know that there's like hundreds, millions of robot languages with C-3PO and stuff like that. So who knows? It doesn't matter. They're red shirts. They're there just to get killed. And so that's how it ends. And then I will say that there was, so pretty much not a lot really happens aside from the fact that they're just ignoring their own canon from the previous episode to create this danger and push the feminism narrative. And then also have this like absolutely absurd, stupid spectacle that's just getting mocked everywhere, as it should. I will say there was one highlight of the episode that I actually did like, and this was the fact that they did get the idea of anyone can become a Jedi and how the Force works. You have this one sequence, I think it's like in the middle of the episode, but Ahsoka tells Sabine the Force resides in all living things, even you. Talent is a factor, but training and focus are what truly define someone's success. Not everyone can handle the type of discipline to master the ways of the Force. And it's basically saying even if you don't have a lot of aptitude for the Force, you can still become a Jedi. You can still grow and strengthen that with the Force through discipline and mastery. And I really like that. That's something that George Lucas talked about going as far back as the Revenge of the Jedi story conference. So this was like the story conference in the 1980s before they retitled the film to Return of the Jedi. He's talking about how anyone can become a Jedi and how the Force is kind of within everyone. We know that obviously with Obi-Wan and Yoda telling us that in both the original Star Wars film and Empire Strikes Back. So I actually really did enjoy that part, and I like that, and I was like, okay, yes, like let's get back to this. It does require mastery and discipline, and there is such thing as talent, and it does like certain people are going to be better at certain things than other people. Not everyone can just be a Jedi. It does take discipline, mastery, and then again, there is talent and other things that go into it. So I did like that. Getting back to that, I was actually surprised by that they actually did include that. So that was a good thing. But for otherwise though, this episode was absolutely terrible, and is what we've come to expect from Star Wars storytelling on Disney Plus. We've seen this over and over again throughout the first 3 seasons of The Mandalorian. I know a lot of people just kind of noticed it in Mando Season 3, but I've been talking about this since the very first episode of the first season. Obviously, saw this in the Book of Boba Fett. It was abundantly blatant in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Just absolutely terrible storytelling decisions in that show. You would have had them like just basically ignoring things that happened like 2 minutes before in the same episode. So this is what we've come to expect. I don't think it's going to get any better. It just isn't. They don't have the talent to write better Star Wars. They just don't. And that comes from the top. It comes from the people that they've brought in. It comes from the people that are surrounding this property. They just don't have anyone there that actually seems to understand it or even be able to tell solid, interesting stories within the overarching canon.
Subscribe for more.